Hey friends, welcome to a new Power BI video. Today I'd like to show you how you can now easily use the new window function to create running totals in Power BI. Before, it was also possible with DAX, but it was much more complicated. Now let's have a look at an example. I have a dataset here, and in this case, for instance, I have here customer countries. So if I tick this option, by default I get a map. But let's say I'd like to see this as a table structure here. And let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see that. And let me go in here, and let's say for the values, let me change the font size here. Let's say, for instance, 15. So that should be big enough. And in my dataset, I also have here a little arrow because there is no country 0, but let's ignore that for now. Now let's just check here the sales figures. It could also be any other kind of measure, by the way. I already created here a little measure, so this one, and let me just zoom in so you can see it. It's quite easy. It's just the sum of the sales column in here. So if I go in my visual, in my tables, and just take the measure, I can see that now I got the values in here, right? So for each country, including the 0 country, I got here some total sales figures. Now in total, I have 1.3 million in here. And the goal now is to have a running sum here. So for instance, here I get 8,000. And in Australia, I would like to see not the 136,000, but the sum of those two. And then for Belgium, the sum of the first 3, and so on. So that's as a running total. For all kind of time intelligence functions, that was quite easy to set up. For other kinds of dimensions, like the country here, for instance, or a product name, or whatever kind of dimension you want to use, it was much more difficult. But now we can easily do this. So let's actually right-click on orders, go to new measure, and there's the measure, and let's say this is our running sum, equal, and let me go to new line, and then say we want to calculate something, because we need to modify or change the current filter context. So what do we want to adjust? Well, the measure is the total sales, so I can go with total sales, or the measure you want to use in your case. And then as the filter expression, we're going to use the window function. So window, and then we need to give it here a few information. The first is, where do we want to start? Well, we want to start at the first entry in our table. That's why we want to use a 0 here. And because we want to fix this, I simply type in an absolute here. So always start at the first row in the table. And the window, actually, because the window needs to be dynamic, goes to the 0 value, but this time it's relative because it's, as I said, it's dynamic. Meaning for the first entry, it's from 0 to 0. For the first entry, it's from 0 to 1, and so on. And because of the relative here, we make sure that the 0 here is adjusted. So this means now we need to have here our relation. And in this case, we are referring to the table of our, in my case, customer country names. That's why I need to use all selected to remove any kind of filter context. And here I simply type in now the customer, in this case, country. So it's not the name, but the country. Here I go. And this is my data set here. So, and finally, I can also add an order by, and also I could partition the data. In this case, it doesn't make any sense, but if you have, for instance, also something like the, the region of the world, anything like that, then you could also use partition by. But if you want to use partition by, be aware that you also need to include it in your table, which in the relation you give it here. But for now, that's basically it, what we need to do. And let me just close this here. So that's the window function. Let's also close the calculate function. And let's press enter. And there's our running sum. And let's go into our table. And let's take a look at the running sum. Tick this option. And now you can see we get exactly what we expected. So we start here with 8,000, the same value. But there, for Austria here, not Australia, but Austria, we also have here already the sum of those two. For Belgium, we have the sum of those 3, and so on. And of course, if that's the case, we can easily check this at the end with the last country here in the data set. Then, of course, we need to have the same value in total, as we can see for the total value here as well. And that's basically it. So that's how easy it is now to create any kind of running total using the window function. So that's it for this video. Hopefully that was helpful. If so, please give this video a like, and also please subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me, and also of course encourages me to create more videos for you. If you got questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next one. Until then, best guys.